You ever watch someone make a bold claim on record, promise they'll clear the air, and then vanish faster than a budget surplus in Medina County? Yeah, me too. Both Linda Bowers and Michael Costello told investigators they were warned not to talk to law enforcement about the Bryon Macron case. 2 interviews, same story, same implications. Someone from the Medina County Prosecutor's Office wanted them quiet. So I filed a public records request, emails, texts, memos, voicemails, anything that could back it up. And what came back? Exactly what you'd expect from a place where the truth goes to die. Empty folders, polite shrugs, and a whole lot of nothing. But today, we're not just following up on silence. We've got 2 new interviews you need to hear. One with a retired Sheriff Tom Miller, one with a police officer from a neighboring area, both pulled back into a case the county keeps pretending to reinvestigate by asking questions that barely scratch the surface. Let's get into it. Before we move forward, let's pause for a quick but important update I promised in the last episode. You may remember that both Linda Bowers and Michael Costello told investigators they were warned not to speak with law enforcement about the Bryon Macron case. Specifically, they claimed someone from the Medina County Prosecutor's Office advised them to stay quiet.
That's interesting because not too long ago, the prosecutor told me I wasn't supposed to talk to anybody about this anymore.
Which prosecutor was that?
Forrest Thompson.
You know, the last time I met with the prosecutor, he basically chastised me for answering any law enforcement questions during any of them.
That kind of claim isn't just idle chatter. It's the kind of thing that could derail an entire investigation or was intended to. So I filed a public records request. I asked for any and all communications, emails, texts, voicemails, call logs, memos between the prosecutor's office and either Bowers or Costello between May 1st and July 10th of 2023. Anything even remotely tied to the Macron case. Cut 2. Here's what came back from Assistant Prosecutor Mike Lyons. No records involving Linda Bowers. And for Michael Costello, a few emails, but just about public records request he filed with Medina Township. Imagine that. Nothing tied to Macron. Nothing even adjacent. So where does that leave us? Well, now we have to entertain a few uncomfortable ors. Either Linda Bowers and Michael Costello were lying to investigators when they said that they were told not to talk, or they were telling the truth, but the warnings were made off the record, in person, with no traceable communication. Or someone did tell them to stay quiet, but not from the prosecutor's office, and they're deflecting blame. Or, my personal favorite, the warning existed, but it was delivered carefully, just careful enough to leave no trail, no email, no voicemail, no evidence. Feel free to comment below which one is your favorite or make your own. So that's where we loop back to Linda, because she didn't just casually drop that claim. She told Detective Dimmerswitch, yes, that's Reese. That's his name now and forever, as far as I'm concerned. And she told him that she was going to write a letter to the prosecutor to clear things up.
Now, I am going to send a letter to the prosecutor and tell him that, contrary to what he has told me to do, that I have had a conversation with you, and this is what it's about. It's the same thing I've said before.
Remember that letter from the last episode? We had a misunderstanding, so I'm going to write to Forrest. That letter never surfaced. No email, no memo, no scrawled note on county letterhead or township letterhead. Just another Bowers promise that vanished the moment the recorder stopped. And let's be honest, Detective Dimmerswitch didn't do much better. Just nodded and moved on like he was auditing fire extinguisher dates at the township garage. So here's what we know. 2 people claim they were warned not to cooperate. The office they point to says, not us, and one of them promises a follow-up that never came. And the detective taking their statements treated it like small talk. Now, this doesn't prove a backroom deal. but it does prove that the people who said they'd clear things up didn't. And the people who could have asked the right questions didn't bother. And that is how truth dies in a room full of polite shrugs and broken promises. And sometimes they're not that polite. Quick shout out to Tentacle Nation on Patreon, the new service that I just launched. You've been sending in some incredible case leads, and I'm on them. From Judy Martins, who vanished from Kent State back in 1978, to Charles Wittenhofer, found murdered in his own basement in 1980, to a cold case homicide out of Warren, Ohio, buried near the tracks off Warren Thomas Road in the early 2000s. These tips didn't come from a newsroom, they came from you. That's the power of Patreon. If you're new here, Patreon is totally free to join and help decide what I dig into next. And for those who jump in on the paid side, you'll get exclusive behind-the-scenes posts at least once a month and some raw context on what gets left out of the official story. So if you want a louder voice in what makes it to the air, jump in. Shake the system with me. Today, we're breaking down one of the more curious and, frankly, underwhelming interviews in the so-called follow-up investigation into the 2016 death of Lafayette Township trustee Bryon Macron. Now, before we dive in, let me be clear, we're going to be playing the full audio from both interviews in this episode, unedited, so you can hear them exactly as we did. We want you to decide for yourself if these questions help move this case forward, or if they were just performative checkboxes on a to-do list no one really cared about. Because the largest argument that I still hear to date is that this was actually investigated. So, I need your opinion. Was it really investigated? Were these two interviews investigative worthiness? So, let's start with the first of two calls made on June 29th, 2023, and I've got to give this detective credit because at least she states the date and who she's attempting to call on the recorded audio, unlike most of the other recorded audios that we've listened to. So, Deputy Nicole Embury picks up the phone and calls retired Medina County Sheriff Tom Miller. The mission? Ask about a 6-year-old jewelry conversation. Let me say that again. Jewelry. Cut 3.
Deputy Nicole Embury, June 29th, 2023 at 12:22 p.m. Phone call to retired Sheriff Tom Miller in regards to the Bryon Macron case.
Hello?
Hi, is this Sheriff Miller?
Mm-hmm.
Hi, this is Deputy Embury with the Sheriff's Office. How are you?
Good.
Good. I appreciate you giving me a call. Thank you for doing that. I'm sorry for kind of playing phone tag with you today.
That's okay.
Do you have just a few quick minutes to talk with me over the phone? I appreciate it. The reason why I'm calling is Detective Reese and I were asked to do a little bit of follow-up in regards to the Bryon Macron case from 2016. The family's just asking for a few more answers in regards to kind of the circumstances around that.
Okay.
And one of the, there's a few things that they're wanting to just try to get some sort of clarity. Do you recall your last few conversations that you had with Bryon before he disappeared and died?
No, I don't really recall them. I do know it was that I did contact him at some point, and I know it was recorded about buying jewelry.
Okay.
Now, again, I just want to sort of point out, the sheriff talks about it being recorded. I don't know if he means that he was interviewed by somebody because, again, and you're more than welcome, please, if someone has this recording that I don't have, all right, because I'm still fighting with the Medina County Sheriff's Department relative to records requests relative to this case, but is from what I have and what I've been given, I've been told it's a complete file of this case, does not include anything from Sheriff Tom Miller. So he says that this was previously recorded, or I know it was recorded is what his words were. I don't know what he's talking about. So if anybody does, feel free to comment below or let me know.
For Christmas for my wife.
Okay. Have you, did you previously buy jewelry from him?
Can you say that again?
Did you previously buy jewelry from him?
No, that would have been the first time.
Okay. Did you ever end up actually purchasing jewelry from him, or were you just trying to inquire on how to do so?
I don't remember who told me that. I want to say Sergeant Sanford
Sure.
at the time, but I don't know for sure if it was him. Said you can, get a pretty good deal because he's, sells that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, when I did contact him, when we did make contact, 'cause I left a message, I thought, and he called back, and I don't remember if I was in the office or I don't know where I was sitting or anything, but he didn't have anything available like that, is what that amounted to.
Okay. When you say that he didn't have something available like that, was it something specific you were looking for?
I don't sell that kind of stuff.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. I don't remember it exactly.
No, understandable.
Now, I don't know why we're even talking about the sheriff and the jewelry sales. Again, it might be a question to ask along other pertinent questions, but as you'll see, there really are very little relative questions that are asked out of this interview. So I'm really confused about the jewelry aspect of this, or why he's asking, or why she is asking about the jewelry. But let me stop it here, pause, because he says something about, Bryon didn't have anything that he was interested in. So again, as an investigator, an obvious follow-up question would be, you're already asking this question. I have no idea why you're asking it or why you're going down this path. But why wouldn't you come back with said, well, hey, what were you looking for? What didn't he have? Again, I'm just giving the audience some ideas of, when you're in an interview, you want to have follow-up questions. All right. You don't ask a question and just let them answer however they answer. Everything is objective. You need to qualify their objectiveness. It's just the same as if I were to ask somebody, hey, how tall was somebody? And they said, well, they were tall. Okay, well, it's a relative term. So I need to narrow that down. Well, what does this person consider tall? So these are follow-up questions that you would have to say, well, what do you consider tall? It's 5'6". I'm 5'7". How, what would you judge me as? And you don't see this in this interview. So I just wanted to pause and show that.
I know that one thing that the family is wanting, family/this attorney that's on behalf of the family, is in the beginning of December 2016, along with the other trustee, Linda Bowers, it seems that at that time, I believe Captain Dave Setner had also sent an email in regards to trying to get in contact with her for some concerns, and that you had also talked to Bryon about that. Do you recall anything in regards to this email between Dave Setner and Linda Bowers?
No.
Okay.
They may have had one, but I don't recall what it is.
Okay.
And I don't remember what Bryon and I talked about, but...
So I don't think any of that recorded. I think I had my mic off. So the questions that she's asking relative to these emails with David Setner, I'm going to roll this back so when we go back, just because it was playing when... All right, so the email that she is inquiring about with David Setner, Chief David Setner now, with Hinckley Township Police Department. He was with the Medina County Sheriff's Department during this investigation. He was the captain. And there's an email, hopefully I could find in post-production. I'll put it up here, hopefully, where Bryon, within days of him dying, is asking, he sends a cryptic message email to David Setner talking about Linda Bowers. Now, that is the same email I believe she's referencing, and this is the same email that David Setner, to this day, refuses to acknowledge or answer why Bryon was asking or had sent the email to him. I believe that's what she's talking about when she's interviewing now retired Tom Miller.
I don't know.
Okay.
They may have had one, but I don't recall what it is.
Okay.
And I don't remember what Bryon and I talked about, but he was the liaison person for, I think, through the trustees for the contract.
Okay.
I think that, I don't know if they had that as an official, but so we would try to go through him.
Okay. That makes sense. And would you say that you had a pretty good relationship with him?
Yeah, he was okay.
Okay.
I mean, we had some.
Now, again, I have no idea why she's asking this question. Is he a suspect? Are they trying to judge whether or not he had some sort of bias that could have infected the investigation? It's sort of just an off-the-wall question that I have no idea. There's nothing in evidence that I know that would have any basis of Tom Miller having any close proximity to Bryon Macron relative to his death. So it's just an odd question to me. I have no idea why she asked it.
I sat with them once at a Township Trustee summer picnic. But, I mean, we didn't socialize or anything. Well, that was a political socialization, right. But aside from that, I don't think I know I didn't socialize with him anywhere else.
Okay, so nothing like outside of work or anything?
No.
Okay. And in regards to the jewelry, just because I know that this is something that I think that the attorney's trying to bring up, as far as him having kind of a decent relationship, it seems like with several different officers and just being a trustee and kind of being known for selling jewelry, would it be unusual for him to be in contact with different officers or different law enforcement people in regards to them wanting to purchase jewelry from him?
Apparently I was not recording. So, folks, that was a total leading question. Total leading question. You've given every answer and scenario to the person that you're asking the question to. That makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Why would you ask a question like that? All right, let's roll that back. You've got to listen to that again. It makes absolutely no sense to me. Again, when you ask a question in an interview, the question should be very open-ended at first. If after you answer the question and you get an answer and it's way out in left field, you can close that question in with a follow-up question that maybe was something that might trigger memory. But listen to this question again. This is absurd, folks.
Outside of work or anything?
No.
Okay. And in regards to the jewelry, just because I know that this is something that I think that the attorney's trying to bring up, as far as him having kind of a decent relationship, it seems like with several different officers and just being a trustee and kind of being known for selling jewelry, would it be unusual for him to be in contact with different officers or different law enforcement people in regards to them wanting to purchase jewelry from him?
All right, so how you should have asked that question, and I don't know truly, honestly, what she's trying to get at, but perhaps a better question is, hey, would it be unusual if Bryon would have contacted law enforcement, from different agencies? Now, again, Tom Miller may have no idea or have any recollection. He may have said, I don't know. And then you could have followed up with, well, hey, because he sold jewelry, would he maybe talk to different law enforcement? That could be a follow-up question. But the way this was asked was horrible, folks. I don't know. Leave it in the comments below. You tell me what you think.
From Joan Sanford at our...
Okay. Well, I appreciate your...
Don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't tell you if anybody else. I had heard, but I don't remember who had gotten a good deal from him or something. But I don't remember any names.
Okay.
I don't think, aside from Joan Sanford at our place at the time, I think it was a guy from another department, but I don't remember which one.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your time today, sir. I know it's kind of very out of the blue to get a call in regards to something from 2016 and trying to think back that far. So I do appreciate your time today.
Okay.
Have a great day.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Now, that part might have sounded promising, a follow-up, a family looking for answers. So where do they start? With a question about whether Sheriff Miller bought jewelry from Bryon Macron in December of 2016.
I did contact him at some point, and I know it was recorded, about buying jewelry.
Okay.
For Christmas for my wife.
Okay.
You heard that right. They're now checking whether Bryon Macron, who disappeared under suspicious circumstances, was trying to hustle some Christmas deals on gold and diamonds. Cut 5.
He didn't have anything
Okay.
available like that. Is what that amounted to.
That was it. He didn't have anything, so no sale, no jewelry, no deeper connection. But it doesn't stop there. Embury tries to dig a little deeper, not into the case, but just into the vibes.
Would you say that you had a pretty good relationship with him?
Cut 6.
Yeah, he was okay.
Okay.
I mean, my wife and I sat with them once at a township trustee summer picnic. But, I mean, we didn't socialize or anything. Well, that was a political socialization, right. But aside from that, I don't think I know I didn't socialize with him anywhere else.
So again, the record is this. No sale, no close friendship, no suspicious behavior, just one call about a potential jewelry deal that never happened. Then Embury pivots briefly to an email between Captain Dave Setner and Trustee Linda Bowers regarding concerns from earlier of December of 2016. This actually was a key question. Cut 7.
No.
Okay.
They may have had one, but I don't recall what it is.
Okay.
And no.
Which raises the obvious question. Did Deputy Embury follow up with Captain Setner? If she's asking about a specific email and Miller says he doesn't recall, wouldn't the next logical move be to call David Setner himself? Did she? Because if she did, we haven't seen it. And if she didn't, then this entire line of questioning was just a dead-end detour into vague recollections and gift shopping. And for the record, I did reach out to Deputy Nicole Embury myself. She only worked for the Medina County Sheriff's Office for a little over a year, counting her time as reserve. And when I reached out, she blocked me. Another transparent party from the Medina County Sheriff's Office. Blocking questions seems to be the only consistent policy they have. So just like that, it's over. No timeline clarification, no confrontation about access to the township building, no mention of the back door being propped open, no forensic questions, no follow-up with the multiple people who claim to have heard a struggle. This was the guy that was leading the entire Medina County Sheriff's Department during this investigation. Instead, a 4-minute phone call to ask whether Bryon had ever sold a necklace. This, folks, is what passes for follow-up in Medina County. Instead of building a timeline, tracking movements, or testing forensic theories, we're dusting off old Christmas shopping lists. So let's put it plainly. If this is what the so-called reinvestigation looks like, then the family isn't getting justice. They're getting window dressing for Christmas shopping. But Embury's jewelry tour wasn't over yet. She had one more person to call that day. Let's roll it. Cut 8.
Deputy Nicole Embury, June 29th, 2023, 3:07 p.m. Phone call to Adam Hul. Hello?
Hello?
Hi, is this Adam?
This.
Hey, Adam, this is Nicole Embury. I'm a deputy with the Sheriff's Office. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. I was wondering if you had a few minutes just to talk on the phone in regards to a case that I'm working on with Detective Reese.
Okay.
Is this an okay time? I wasn't sure. I know you work on nights. Do you have just a few quick minutes?
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Go ahead.
Perfect.
Not that I'm able to answer really quick. I'll try.
No worries. Detective Reese and I are being asked to look into the Bryon Macron case from 2016. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Long time.
Yes. Several years ago, essentially the family had contacted an attorney and are reviewing things and still want us to tie up a few loose ends. So that's where I was asked to just kind of look through a few things. And one of the things that the family had
Loose ends. Talk about gaping holes.
to just kind of some weird oddities that they find, and that's kind of how your name kind of got brought up into it. So I just have a few questions, if you don't mind me just asking you those over the phone, if that's okay.
No.
Perfect. Okay. Did you end up meeting Bryon shortly before his death in regards to the purchase of some jewelry?
Well, hopefully it was before his death. That would have been interesting to meet him after his death.
I did.
Okay.
Oddly enough, I received timeline that they thought he was the incident with all the blood in his office happened immediately after I got the necklace from him. Then I found out it was 12 hours later.
Okay.
Because they said it was like 6 o'clock, and I saw him at like 5:30. I'm like, holy shit, was I the last person to see the guy alive? But
okay.
Then I found out it was 12 hours later. But
so you met with him around 5:30 at his office?
No, at his house.
At house, okay. And what did you end up purchasing?
What? You want me to? I'll back up and tell you the whole story.
Sure.
Again. It'll only take like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So, do you remember Danny Kohler?
I've heard of him. I wasn't here in 2016, so I know who they're talking about.
Okay. Well, he and Danny one night we ended up looking for an OVI suspect, which we never found. We ended up spooling up on Park Avenue West in the village. So me and Danny are just BSing, and I said, hey, do you know any of the jewelers that work down at the outlet mall? You know, where's a good place for me to buy Nikki, my girlfriend at the time, a necklace? And he says, you know Bryon, who rides around with Jim Sanford, because Bryon used to ride around with Jim Sanford because he was trustee in Lafayette Township. I said, yeah, I met him once or twice when he was riding with Jim. He said, he sells jewelry for a living. I'm like, oh, no kidding. So Danny gives me his message. We go back and forth a couple times, and the thing finally coordinate me going to his house that day to pick out a necklace for Nikki, my girlfriend at the time. Okay. So we coordinate. I end up going over to his house, and he has this tray full of jewelry because I give him an idea what I'm looking for. So I take with me, it was either $16 or $14, I don't remember, but it was a 10 and 4 or 6 singles with me and a $100 bill. Because I'm planning on spending like $100 on a necklace. So I go there and I say, you supposed to be this jewelry. I said, yeah, I'll take that one there, but it was only $30. So I'm like, okay, well, Bryon, I got a $100 bill on me, or I have, it's either $16 or $14, I don't remember. And can you make change? And he says, I don't have any money on me right now. Just give me the $14 or $16, but I also don't have a jewelry box for you for the necklace. So give me the $14 or $16 now, and come back Monday and leave it in an envelope in the mailbox outside of my house, and I'll leave a jewelry box for you to put the necklace in. So just pick up the box then and drop off the rest of the money. I said, perfect, sounds good. While I'm there, I meet his wife and his daughter. Okay. Very brief. I'm like, hi, how you doing? Nice to meet you. I get the necklace, I give him the $14. Bryon was Marine Corps, so me being Army, we walk out to the driveway and kind of BS for a couple minutes and pick on each other. Forget Army, for Marine Corps, typical, military jargon stuff. We swap stories a little bit about our service time. I say thank you much. I shake his hand. I get in the car. I back out of his driveway. I actually take a picture of the necklace with my phone to send my sister and say, hey, this is what I got this is the necklace I got the Bryon guy for Christmas. And I drive away. And that was it. It was really, the whole meeting was probably 20 minutes. Okay. I leave there and don't think anything of it. I leave there. I go to KFC and I pick up dinner for myself and my girlfriend. I go over to her house. We have dinner, and I leave that night. She worked at an ENT place up in Middlebury Heights. Okay. So she had to be working, she had to get up for work at like 6 o'clock in the morning. I worked nights at the time. So I leave there, and I actually go to it was the debut viewing of the movie Rogue One for Star Wars. So and I heard about this from Detective Heckle later, but I leave Dickie's house, and I go and watch the debut of Rogue One at the movie theater. Being night shift, I'm going to be up until 3, 4 in the morning anyway, so I go to see the movie because I was a Star Wars kid, And then I find out from Heckle later that
Bryon actually saw the movie with a friend like 15 minutes after the one I went to, which is weird. But and then Heckle ended up getting the video footage of me walking in the movie theater, going and seeing it, and then Bryon going and seeing it in another theater like 15 minutes later.
Okay.
I walk out, I go home, that's it.
So I know a couple of people, and I'm probably going to make them upset. I know a couple of people have brought up the oddity of a lot of these people being at this movie. One thing I'm going to say. It's the debut, right? I think it was the debut of the movie Rogue One for Star Wars. And I believe at the time, Medina only had one theater. Again, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but that's a great movie. I'm a Star Wars fan, so I have to say that. But the fact that it's a debut movie, I don't draw any specific inference of all the activity of all of these people being at the movie theater or 15 minutes prior. That on itself, I don't think I draw any specific inference. Again, it's a debut movie. There's only one theater in Medina. Again, if I'm wrong, call me out.
Gotcha.
The next day, Dave Priest calls me on the phone and says, "Hey, Adam, what are you doing?" I said, "Oh, I'm working. I was actually shining my boots for work, I said, "Oh, I'm shining my boots. What's up, brother?" He says, "Hey, can I stop by? We've got a question about a missing persons case." "Yeah, absolutely. Stop by." So him and Heckle stopped by my house. And I'm like, it was when I'm thinking it's something with, somebody missing from the village or one of the guys all the people I deal with all the time, as a cop.
Yeah.
So they show up and they're like, "Hey, were you with Bryon last night?" I'm like, "Yeah, well, what's up?" And I explained all of that to them again. Everything I just explained to you. And the only other thing they added that day was Heckle asked me, "Do by chance do you have the movie stub ticket from last night?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I think so." So I actually checked my pocket in my coat I was wearing, and sure enough, I had the stub. I said, "Here you go." And then, then Heckle found me on video camera later, walking in and going to see the movie. So.
Gotcha.
And that
okay.
was pretty much everything I have to contribute to.
Got it. Okay. So, what time was it? Like a midnight movie, or what time would you estimate the movie was at?
I think it was.
Just another point of reference or point of order, and I just thought about this. I don't recall, and I have no reason to disbelieve that he gave his movie stub to the detectives at the time. I'm just showing again the sloppiness of Medina County. I don't think that I've ever seen anything in the log relative to him collecting his movie stub. But, again, I digress.
I think it was 11 o'clock.
11, okay.
I would imagine the stub's probably still in evidence.
Okay. And did you end up seeing him there, or they just told you later on, like, no, you were there kind of around the same time that Bryon was? Do you recall seeing him?
I don't remember seeing him.
Okay.
When I saw the movie, I went by myself, saw the movie, and left.
Okay.
And I think, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure Heckle said he saw the next viewing, which was another theater, started 15 minutes later, because it was a premiere of a big movie. I mean,
gotcha.
One probably showed 3 or 4 theaters in the movie theater.
Okay.
It was at Regal Cinemas up behind Target there.
Okay.
On the north end of the city.
Gotcha. And so you said that the following Monday there was that plan that you were going to just leave the remainder money in the mailbox at his house, and he was going to have that jewelry box for you.
Yep.
Okay.
But it didn't happen because he ended up missing, so I still kind of technically owe the family like $15.
Okay, but you left the house with the necklace that night.
Yes, I did.
Okay, gotcha. How did he kind of seem? I know that was probably the first time that you actually dealt with him. I think one-on-one and kind of talking about your military experience. Anything kind of seem odd to you, or?
No.
Okay. And then after the movie theater, where did you go until the next morning when you were contacted by Sergeant Priest?
Well, I left there. I'm pretty sure I went directly from Bryon's house to KFC in Medina, picked up dinner, went from KFC to Nikki's house. We ate dinner. We hung out there for a couple hours, and then I left there and went straight to the movie theater, and from the movie theater came home. And I don't think I did any other errands or anything. I was here at the house until Dave called me the next morning and said, hey, can I stop by?
Gotcha. Okay. And then another kind of weird question that's being thrown out is we're trying to make a connection to if anybody happens to know this person. Does the name Faith Rosenberg ring anything to you?
Nope, nothing at all.
Okay. That's where it's somehow just a question that's being thrown to me and Reese and of this name, and figured we're just asking if anybody happens to know this name or things like that. So I appreciate your time and especially kind of giving me the rundown of the story. And I know it's been a few years, but
yeah, the only some private investigator called years after it happened also.
Okay.
I had on the phone with him for like a half an hour talking to him. Told him the exact same everything that happened.
Yeah. Was he a private investigator for the family?
I think so.
Okay.
Next day when Dave Priest stopped by with Todd Hackle, who obviously I know both of those guys, because I was a bunch of different calls and cases with them. They came to my house. I told my guys, I understand you're doing a job. I have nothing to hide. You guys can look at anything in my house.
Yeah.
You know, you can go out there and go. Anything I have, you're welcome to look at, because I know you have to check those boxes. I get it. I'm down to do it. You know, if you have any questions or want to see anything, you know, I open book, because I have nothing to hide. I didn't do anything.
Right.
You know, so that would be the only other thing I think
perfect.
Yes.
Well, I appreciate your time, Adam. It's, as I said, I didn't want to call you too early because I know that you work on nights. So
yeah.
I understand there. I've been there myself. So I appreciate your time.
Luck. Where would you come from?
I've been here for about a year and a half, but I'm from South Dakota, so I transferred over laterally.
Okay.
So.
Are you the one doing the body cam stuff?
Nope. That's Mackenzie is one of our records. I'm in DB over the summer because I'm 8 months pregnant right now. But I'm typically during the normal school year, I'm the Highland SRO.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yep.
I've heard of you. And I don't know. Did we ever meet? Were you ever on the road? We met?
I was on the road for about 3 weeks before the start of school, just doing my FTO, and then I went straight into the school year. So.
Did I meet you in that time at all? Or no?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well,
it's nice.
Hopefully we'll cross paths.
Probably. So. Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you, Adam.
Good luck with that.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Tell Reese I said
I will. Thanks. Bye-bye.
What you just heard was a interview with Adam Hul. For context, Adam Hul is a Army veteran who bought a necklace. He's also a police officer, was a police officer. I don't know if he still is. From Bryon, Macron in December of 2016. And that necklace was a gift for his girlfriend. The transaction, a simple 20-minute visit and a handshake between veterans. Nothing shady, nothing suspicious. And yet, 7 years later, Deputy Embury is calling him again like none of this was already covered. But it was on day one. That morning, Sergeant David Priest and Detective Todd Hackle went straight to Hulk's house. He turned over his Star Wars ticket stub, which, again, I just stated I don't think I ever saw on any of the logs. Hackle confirmed his alibi with theater surveillance. It was airtight. So why was he called again? Well, the follow-up wasn't organic. It was prompted by a letter from Victoria Macron's attorney. But that doesn't explain why they asked Hulk about Faith Rosenberg. This is where it gets weird, because Hulk had nothing to do with Faith Rosenberg. And I understand that she just put the question out generally. But you know who did? Michael Costello, the man who went to the movies with Bryon the night he vanished, the same man who called Faith and Rosenberg after the disappearance using a blocked number. You don't block your number when everything's above board. You block it when you don't want to be linked to the call. So why are they asking Hulk about Faith, while Costello's connection gets brushed off with his interview with Detective Dimswitch? Let's talk about the follow-up team they put on this follow-up. Not a cold case unit, not forensic investigators, just a detective no one heard of and a school cop on Maternity Countdown. Who picked him? Why now, and why are they asking the wrong people the wrong questions? Let's be clear, Michael Costello was re-interviewed about his call to Faith Rosenberg. But when asked, he flatly refused to answer, said he had already addressed it. And yet there's no record that he ever did. And again, I'm trying to be objective. Did he answer Faith Rosenberg and the Medina County Sheriff's Office failed to document it? That's possible. Or is he lying? That's possible. While Detective Dimmerswitch and Embury were chasing down old receipts, a letter from attorney Peter Panicus was circulating through the sheriff's office, raising urgent new concerns. According to the letter, a firefighter who helped recover Macron's body allegedly told someone that he had to cut something off before bringing Bryon out of the lake, and the claim was later denied, and one of the parties involved lawyered up. We'll cover that contradiction in another episode. The same letter also flagged the use of pinhole surveillance cameras ordered and installed in the Lafayette Fire Department. Actually, both Lafayette and Chippewa Lake. Sources say additional cameras were found again in 2024 at the old Chippewa Lake Fire Station after the county EMA took over the building. The invoices split up to avoid triggering public meeting thresholds. We'll circle back to that too. But let's pause and take stock of what they weren't doing while all of this was happening. No dive into why surveillance cameras were quietly installed. No clarification on who approved the sketchy invoices. But sure, let's re-interview a guy about a necklace he bought in 2016. This is what it looks like when a department pretends to be moving just to avoid admitting they're standing still. It's not justice. It's public relations. Be loud, be heard, shake the system until the truth falls out.